Hello and welcome to another amazing webinar from our virtual event series of OneAquaHealth project. My name is Alexander Nikolov and I'm working for Sinu GmbH based in Vienna, and we are coordinating the dissemination and communication education work package. The purpose of today's OneAquaHealth webinar is not just another AI meets environment session. Think of it as a guided tour into the secret life of the urban streams with a bit of a magic sprinkle on the top. Um, over the next 1.5 hours, the coordinator of OneAquaHealth project, Ms. Maria Feu from the University of Coimbra in Portugal, will provide a comprehensive introduction to the OneAquaHealth project and its mission to strengthen the connection between ecosystem health and public well-being. The session will outline how AI-assisted environmental monitoring, early indicators, and citizen science engagement are being integrated to better understanding ecosystem dynamics and support more resilient urban environments. In the second part of the webinar, our friend and consortium partner Gora Data, representing IEEE and HO7 Europe, will present the IEEE OneAquaHealth Global Hackathon 2026. This initiative invites innovators, students, and citizen scientists to co-create digital solutions that enhance the sustainability of urban aquatic ecosystems. Today's event will conclude with an open discussion, inviting all webinar participants to engage actively. The webinar is scheduled to end promptly at 5:30. Before we continue with our today's agenda, I would like to highlight our today's housekeeping rules. Namely, our virtual event will be recorded and posted on the OneAquaHealth Open Information Hub in order to ensure, according to the rules of open access scientific information, that all collected insights are openly accessible for all interested parties and can support further development activities in the field. Feel free to ask questions anytime in the chat option. We'll do our best to answer them during an event. And now, as mentioned, I would like to pass the floor to Maria. Maria, please feel free to share the presentation from your end.
Okay, so I'm going to do a short overview of the OneAquaHealth project, which is already in its 4th year. So I have a lot of work done. This is a project funded by the Horizon Europe program from the European Commission. Under a call and a topic called Environmental Observation Solutions Contributing to Meeting the One Health Challenges. The funding is almost 5 million euros, and it has been running from 2023 to this year. It will be finished by the end of the year. So this is a very interdisciplinary project. Here you have some photos of the consortium. Covering 10 countries in Europe, from Portugal to Israel, and 14 partners. These partners cover a wide diversity of areas, from freshwater ecology, it's our case here at University of Coimbra in the Mare Research Center, but also other partners working in biodiversity, in public health, veterinary, social sciences, humanities, and arts, communication, computer engineering, digital health, satellite observation. So we have all these expertise in our project, and we need it for the aims of the project, as you will see. So the OneAquaHealth project aims to address the challenges of the global urbanization and the challenges that it poses to the nature preservation, and specifically to the freshwater ecosystems, the rivers and the streams, especially within the cities, and to the health of their animals and plants, and consequently to human health. So it creates here a link between urbanization, freshwater ecosystems, including the health of their animals and plants, and human health. And the concept of the project is that the health of the freshwater ecosystems and human health and well-being in the urban areas are highly interconnected. And why? So because the rivers and streams, they provide what we call important benefits, important ecosystem services to people. So they not only they provide some support habitat to other elements of the biodiversity, but also to processes, important ecosystem processes like primary production or nutrient and energy cycling, the composition of organic matter, for example, but also the provisioning of water, of food, of timber. They regulate the water quality, the soil quality, the climate. They provide a regulation of the floods, so they provide flood mitigation because when they provide space in their margins to the infiltration of water, and the margins are part of the ecosystems. Also, they're riparian vegetation, so the vegetation typical from the margins of streams and rivers, which is different from surrounding forests. This type of vegetation occupies the margins of the streams. So, and these as important also provides important services, like for example, the purification of the air and also shadow, so the decrease in water temperature or even buffering water temperature in general. It may be even the increase in colder areas. And these areas also provide important cultural services, like they provide recreation areas. They provide aesthetic. We have nice views from the houses or the buildings when looking into these ecosystems in good condition. If we can hear the birds or the sound of water or the wind in the trees, we are getting some relaxation moments, and this is also considered a cultural service. Some therapeutic services because we get more relaxed, we decrease our heart rate, for example. And we can use these spaces also for environmental education, for example, for open air classes in many disciplines, not only in biology, but also geology or chemistry or other areas. So these are the benefits that an healthy ecosystem provides to people. And especially when they are in the cities, they provide to the people living in the cities. However, what we see is that inside highly urbanized areas, we have very degraded ecosystems, freshwater ecosystems. These are real images, not AI. So we get garbage, we get water pollution, artificialization of the margins. For example, here we see in the bottom, in the middle, we have a wall, a concrete wall, and this is a big artificialization of the margins of streams and rivers because the water does not infiltrate, does not irrigate the earth in the surroundings of this stream anymore. And we have then with the water pollution, we get all kinds of alterations in the aquatic communities too. So we did also a study where we showed, based on the measurements of these ecosystem services in the urban streams, we showed that the degradation of these streams can bring many health issues, concrete health issues that we took from the literature in the medicine area. And for example, if we lack this service of climate regulation in a city, we may get several cardiovascular or respiratory disorders, skin problems. If we lack, for example, a good water quality, we may get some enteric diseases, waterborne diseases, vector-borne diseases. If we lack the service of education and cognitive development, we can lose opportunities for the maintenance of better cognitive skills, for example. If we lack the therapeutic services, we may have poor mental health. So in this study, we assessed the risks for human health, and we were able to see that the risks may go up to 60 or 70% in the streams of Coimbra, my city, because of the degradation of the ecosystem. So this is another thing, but you can have a look into this paper if you want more information. It's published. So with the OneAquaHealth, the question was more, okay, how can we measure the influence of the degradation of the freshwater ecosystems as a result of the urbanization in the organisms or the ecosystem health, but also in the human health. We know a bit about the influence of the urbanization in the aquatic organisms, not in all the organisms that live in an urban stream ecosystem, because as I said before, the stream ecosystem or a river ecosystem is not only the water and the aquatic elements, but also what lives in the margins, the plants, the trees, but also amphibians, for example, reptiles, small mammals, birds. All these are part of a stream ecosystem, okay? So which of these could be relevant indicators to measure these integrated One Health risks? And which tools could we develop based on these indicators that could help decision makers and involve other stakeholders like common citizens in this aim of protecting our One Health, okay, in this context? So with that in mind, the aims of the OneAquaHealth project were exactly the establishment of an early warning set of indicators of environmental health degradation of urban streams that would indicate risks for human health. So we may have indicators of the degradation of the streams or rivers, but not all of them may indicate risks for human health. We would like to know which ones we can use that also indicate risks for human health. And based on that, to develop an environmental surveillance system, which is a set of tools here schematized. So we'll have the city dashboard, the decision support system, the open information hub, which is central for all these for this environmental surveillance system, and then a citizen science application. And we also aim to involve all types of stakeholders that may be involved in using or applying or learning from these tools in order to protect the One Health in the cities. So here are some images of some work that we did with stakeholders in each city. We worked, so in the OneAquaHealth project, we worked in 5 European cities: Coimbra in Portugal, Toulouse in France, Benevento in Italy, Ghent in Belgium, and Oslo in Norway. And in each of these 5 cities, we composed a local alliance where we joined different types of stakeholders, like the municipality, the water and environmental agencies, people from public health institutions, also veterinaries, for example, the academia, and others, so that all those that we thought would be interested and relevant to hear and to share our results, but also to give us insights of what would be relevant to be developed and to be studied. So from the beginning, we developed these local alliances. I'm not going to speak about this, but this was really an important part of our project. So here you see some images of what we have done in Coimbra, like taking people from the urban streams to show them what's an urban stream, what's a degraded or an ecosystem in good condition, what is right, what is wrong, because these type of notions are difficult for people that are not ecologists most of the time. So it's quite difficult to be near a stream. If it smells bad or it looks really polluted, has foam, for example, or colors, people may recognize the degradation, but in other cases, like the presence of artificial walls, or even the presence of many invasive plants that should not be there and are degrading the ecosystem and the aquatic communities, for example. These are notions that are quite difficult to be understood by many of the common citizens in a city, and they need to understand the importance of these aspects to be able to contribute to its preservation. So to give you a more concrete example, the ecological assessment of rivers worldwide, at least in, for example, in Europe, in European Union, or in the United States or Canada and many other countries of the world, is based not only on the water chemistry, so the assessment of nutrients or some pollutants in the water, but the ecological assessment comprises the use of biological indicators, which are aquatic communities. So usually we study the macroinvertebrates. These are the most common indicator, the macroinvertebrate communities, the fish, the diatoms, and aquatic plants, macrophytes. And also the hydromorphology, so the alterations in the morphology of the river, the channel, the margins, etc. However, this assessment, although very complete in terms of assessing the quality of the ecosystem, may not be the most relevant indicators to assess the relationship with the human health. So what we have done here is to think a bit beyond the quality of the ecosystem, and to try to understand, as I said, which indicators would also give us insights of risks for human health. So we made a big list of indicators, of new indicators. We also included the more traditional ones in the river ecological assessment, which are good because anyway, they give us a notion of the quality of the ecosystem, and the degraded ecosystem always poses a risk, at least the lack of some services. But we also added, for example, the pathogens in the water or in the biofilms. The vectors like mosquitoes that we sampled and other diptera that we sampled in the margins of the rivers, biological controls of some vectors, for example, the birds or the fish or the amphibians, they eat the mosquitoes. So they help controlling these vectors of disease. So we also included organisms that could act as a biological control. Then we assessed also indicators of the physiological and physical health of organisms. For example, some amphibians, they may have some fungi or virus that lead to their extinction in an area. For example, the ranavirus or the BD fungi. And these will eliminate one biological control. So it's important. And we try to understand if when we have unhealthy organisms, this means that the ecosystem is degraded. So it was, in many cases, it was associated to the degradation of a certain ecosystem. And also if that degradation and those unhealthy organisms will represent also an additional risk for one health. We also sampled or characterized the bird communities in the margins. Again, they act as a biological control. And other, like we also characterize emergent pollutants like the pharmaceuticals in the urban streams. We did this. We sampled all these indicators for 100 urban streams, so about 20 in each of the 5 cities that we studied. So these indicators, as I said, they had to be to obey to some criteria, like being realistic, being representative of some part of the ecosystem, being affected by the urbanization. We should have also ideally some historical information about them, how they were, for example, in the past. And in some cases, citizens could contribute with some of this information. That would be also a useful indicator, an indicator that citizens can contribute by doing some citizen science, for example. So this is the type of information that we included in our app, the app that we developed. For example, how is the river flow, or do we see garbage, or do we see or how is the riparian vegetation in the margins? Do we see trees and bushes and herbs, or do we have only herbs? This would be an indicator of bad quality, for example. So, as I said, after selecting all these indicators, we worked in all these streams, in about 100 streams over Europe, so across a climatic gradient, geographic gradient, and also in cities with different cultural backgrounds and traditions regarding nature protection. This was important also to try to extract some relevant conclusions. So here are some nice images of the streams that we sampled, some nice ones. And so based on this data that we have been collecting, we did many data analyses to try to understand, as I said, the effect of urbanization of these organisms, what do they tell us in terms of risks for human health. For example, the pharmaceuticals, I have here some results of our work. This is also published. So we detected 16 different types of pharmaceuticals in our urban streams. They were present in almost more than 90% of our streams, and they were present in mixtures in about 80% of our streams. Some pharmaceuticals were present in high concentrations. Some pharmaceuticals belonged already to the European watch list, so they should be monitored, but others weren't, and we recommended new ones. And we observed that in more urbanized streams, we have more concentrations of pharmaceuticals, but also that in streams with a better ecological condition, the concentrations or the number of pharmaceuticals was lower. And this could indicate that also a well-preserved ecosystem has a way to retain some pharmaceuticals, for example, through the roots of plants, and making it leading to lower concentrations of pharmaceuticals, so maybe lower risks for human health. Regarding the disease vectors, we sampled the Diptera, which included what is usually called mosquitoes, but not only. So these mosquitoes, these Diptera, they have larvae in the water, but when they become adults, they fly, and we caught them when they were flying adults in the margins. So we observed many disease vectors in our streams. I'm not going to show that that information here, but we have vectors of dengue, West Nile virus, for example, among others. We also were able to relate this to the integrity of the stream, especially the riparian vegetation is quite important. After that, we tried to build some scenarios where we would improve the quality of the ecosystem and see what happens in terms of the presence of these vectors in all the cities, and also scenarios of climate change. So this study is submitted. But I can tell you that what we saw is that if we really rehabilitate the urban streams, that has a stronger impact in changing the distribution of these vectors, than climate change alone. So we cannot use only the excuse of climate change, but because if we really act on improving the ecosystem, we'll have good results. For example, here we assess the presence in the future scenarios of each of these Diptera species or taxa in terms of changes in probability of occurrence. So we did some predictive models based on machine learning techniques, and what we have here are the changes in terms of probability of occurrence. So the probability of occurrence increased when you see the darker blue, and they decreased when you see the red color. In another study, for example, we studied the invasive plants in the margins of the streams. We detected 53 alien plant species only in the 20 streams of Coimbra. And among these, there are also species that are harmful for the human health. So most of them, they look very nice. They are pretty. I have here some pictures. For example, we have nice flowers, because many invasive plants, they were brought to another country as ornamental plants. People have them in their houses, and then they throw them away, or the seeds are dispersed by some means. And then we have them in the margins of the streams. So they were more when we were in a more urbanized area. But this brings also risks of allergies. For example, some are poison. They are poisoning. Others can cause cuts, and others can host other vectors of diseases. So you see here that the health risks brought by these invasive plants are quite wide. They go also into gastrointestinal diseases, respiratory, cardiac diseases, among other. Regarding the pathogenic bacteria in the biofilms, so the biofilms is this fine, tiny pellicule of that we can find in the stones that are inside the water. They are composed of bacteria, fungi, and polysaccharide matrix. And we sampled these biofilms, and we found that we had 101 animal pathogens, 13 plant pathogens, and 20 zoonotic and human pathogens in our urban streams. And we also could relate that with the urbanization level and degradation of the streams. So with all this data, we selected a final set of indicators that would be relevant to monitor risks for One Health within cities that were related to the quality, the condition of the urban stream ecosystems. And this final set of indicators, so are indicators that can be measured. We developed some protocols, and so we can follow these protocols to always measure them in a standardized way. We already published these protocols. They are also in a publication accessible through our OneAquaHealth app, and they compose part of our decision support system. I will let you know later a bit more about this. So all the materials that we are producing, not all the data, but all the materials and some data are in the OneAquaHealth app. So this is like the central part of the OneAquaHealth environmental surveillance system. And you can see in the solutions, in the events, in the community, some of the tools and some of the information. So as I said, we developed these sampling protocols in the beginning of our work, and now we publish them so that other people can follow them and sample the streams in the same way that we did and compare the results with our results, for example, or compare the results of the same streams over time. They are published, and we have here a link to Zenodo where they are published. And also we have some fact sheets about each of these indicators, explaining why they are relevant in the context of One Health in the cities and related to streams, and explaining a little bit about the methods, how to sample, what were our results in a very summarized way. These are also available through this DOI. And finally, we published also a policy brief. It's also available already in the hub, I think in news, but Alex can tell later on. And in this policy brief, we explain most of these results and also the most important tools that we have developed and our most relevant conclusions. Overall, we concluded that improving the urban streams is a very important public health measure because many of the degradation aspects of the urban streams will lead to risks for human health and also for the health of other animals and plants. Regarding the tools that we developed, I am also showing very quickly an overview because in other webinars they will be further developed. So a citizen science app was developed, is also available to be installed. And this app can be used for what? It can be used to make new assessments of the same sites that we sampled. You can see them in a map, but also to add information about other urban streams or other streams, in fact, anywhere in the world. So I invite you all to apply it. We will be very happy to see our app being used and to provide us with information about the integrity of the urban streams and aspects that we know that are relevant to monitor risks for human health. So this is translated to several languages. And you can know more about the explanations. Maybe some things that I'm saying here are also explained in the beginning of the app, the first screen. So before you submit, you can read more. It's also a good source of information. And you can see the sites that were already studied with the app. And what will you provide? You will provide answers to certain questions regarding, for example, how are the margins of the streams? Are they impervious? Do you see impervious material? Is it concrete, or are they stones, or is it earth? Are they natural or not? You can see, for example, which are the habitats present? Do you see sandbanks or islands? These are habitats for aquatic species and also for other species that live in the urban stream ecosystems or in the stream and river ecosystems. Or what's the shape of the channel? Do you see a U shape, a V shape, a flat shape? So this is important. For example, what we see often in urban streams is that the stream channel is deeper than usual, than it should be, because people ask, okay, I want to be protected from floods. Can you drag the sediment? Can you make it deeper so that the water does not overflow? And this is a wrong idea, but it's being done very often. So this information is quite relevant for us. Then in the end, you can also upload several photos of the streams, not in the end, in fact. And in the end, you can give your opinion regarding the quality of the stream, the overall quality of the ecosystem. This is a bit subjective, but since you already asked, you also replied before to 6 questions. So now you observed better the ecosystem and you will be able to make a more informed evaluation. And finally, we have a question about your feelings when you are at the stream. This is also important to be able to relate the quality of the ecosystem to the well-being that it provides to people. Then we have the city dashboards. Here you can see also in the maps information about the quality of each of the sites that we monitored. For example, based on fish, the quality of this site is bad, but based on invertebrates, it's good. It's normal that it differs. And based on the pathogens, for example, it's average. So you can see these for the sites that we sampled, the 100 sites. And if our protocols are used in the future, people can provide new information, or we can provide new information in the future. We also have what we call the resilience maps. So these maps gives us additional information on pathogenic risks and also climate with some satellite images. For example, here you see in red, it's a very high risk for health of some of the sites, while in green you see low risks. And you can see more detailed information about these risks, what was measured exactly, etc. And other parameters, as I said. You can explore these tools. It's also in the hub. Then we have our decision support system. This system aims to give exact information to decision makers on how to act upon identified degradation aspects. So when people, the first thing is that people have to have a result from the indicators that we selected, or to other indicators that are also related to the same aspects. So when you start the assessment, you will be able to select observed indicators, for example, indicators of ecological quality. Did you assess birds or invertebrates or fish or fecal coliforms, for example, which are also normally assessed by environmental agencies? Or do you assess alterations in the margins or in the channel, or alterations in the water chemistry if you measure them? These have to be measured, but some environmental agencies also make these type of measurements and give this information in public sites, for example. And in the end, you will be able to confirm the aspects that you are providing, and you obtain the measures that you should apply to that stream based on the indicators that you selected. So for example, as a first line measure, maybe you need to vegetate the corridors, the riparian corridors, or you may need to just passively allow the revegetation, or you need to have better sewer systems, or you need to make a reconnection with the floodplains, for example, allowing the water to spread to the margins, which is not naturally occurring but should be. Or you should remove a barrier, and so on. And then you go to see in a PDF the detailed description of these measures like this, and you get a deeper explanation of what should be done. With some examples, some schemes. This is a AI image, but you will get also real images, for example, of case studies, like where there were some restoration measures were applied, for example. So in conclusion, after almost 4 years, we tried to give these conclusions, to pass these conclusions to all the stakeholders that were involved and to others, and try to raise awareness for the importance of preserving the urban stream ecosystems based on concrete data that we collected. Our message is that the preservation of the urban stream ecosystem should be considered an important public health measure, as I said, to prevent the emergence of diseases that affect human physical and mental health. And we also try that the right stakeholders, so like environmental agencies or water agencies, want to monitor these ecosystems in a more holistic way, so considering new indicators, the ones that we provided. We involved, but it's important to continue to involve and to make decision makers to understand this, that they should continue involving different experts in when working with these aspects of One Health and environmental health, but also to raise awareness and disseminate these concepts and this knowledge to everyone, like to every landowner, because they need all the citizens to participate in this process. And so for that, everyone needs to understand what's the concept of the ecological quality of one of these freshwater ecosystems. What do we mean? What is good? What is bad? As I said, what should we do? How can we improve the quality? Because not all measures that are sometimes applied improve the quality of the ecosystem and thus the quality of the human health, right? Because sometimes we see that wrong measures are being applied. So it's very important first that people understand the concepts, and then that they are involved and they want to apply the correct measures. And so the idea of these tools was to provide them with the knowledge, but also with the very concrete measures that they can apply in order to restore and recover the ecosystems. So we developed here a set of tools, but maybe others can still be done, or that maybe some of these can be improved, and for sure there is room for improvement. Okay, so the opportunities is, in fact, we are in the United Nations Decade of Restoration, not until 2023, but until 2030, sorry. And in Europe, last year, 2 years ago already, we approved the EU Nature Restoration Regulation that obliges member states to elaborate and implement restoration projects. So these projects are now being built with the participation of many entities and public participation. But the good thing is that this restoration regulation says that we must halt the net losses of urban green spaces. And as I said, the rivers and the streams, they provide these urban green spaces because the vegetation in the margins are very large corridors of green areas. they should increase even these green spaces until 2040, and then until 2050 with different percentages, increasing percentages. And also the EU Nature Restoration Regulation forces the member states to restore fluvial ecosystems. So each country has their own measure for this restoration, like 500 kilometers here, or in the total we should restore at least 25,000 kilometers of European rivers to free-flowing state. This means removing all the barriers, for example. And we should also restore 30% of the degraded habitats until 2030. This is also related to rivers and to urban rivers and streams, because habitats belong to all types of ecosystems, including rivers. And we have habitats for a very large number of different types of biological groups, as I said, from the aquatic ones to the terrestrial ones that live in the margins. So this was a very quick overview. Not so quick, but quick for what we have done. See, this is part of my team here on the left side, the freshwater ecology group, and also the OneAquaHealth team. So I thank them, because all of them are part of this work that I was just me to speak, but all of them are here. And I thank you all for your attention.
So my name is Gora Goradada. I am one of the project team members of OneAquaHealth, representing HL7 Europe. I also wear many other hats. I'm involved in the IEEE team besides HL7. I also am part of the International Standards Organization, ISO TC215 on health informatics. I'm also a faculty at the University of California, Berkeley, and come from the industry. So many hats, and they all come together perfectly very well for this particular activity. As Maria very eloquently and very nicely put together a presentation about what OneAquaHealth is all about. And our idea through the hackathon was really, how can we take the work which has been done by the OneAquaHealth team for the last 4 years, even though it focused on the European cities, but the problem, the need of the hour is global. And we wanted to take the work of the OneAquaHealth team and bring in the global perspective to it, and especially the young scientists, students, and either young at age or young at heart. The OneAquaHealth hackathon was created. And our idea for the OneAquaHealth hackathon is really simple. It is not to give you any guidance in terms of this is what you have to do, but really provide you with the guardrails and then allow your creativity as the OneAquaHealth contestant, participant, OneAquaHealth hackathon contestant and participant to come up with a creative project and then submit that as a part of your submission. Next. We have a website, and I will be going through that. You just saw the link on the top, and I will invite my colleague, IEEE colleague, Mr. Kodgi, to put the link on the chat itself as well. So why are we doing this hackathon? Maria talked about the Citizen Science app we have. Yes, we want you to use that, but not just to use that, use anything else. Create your own app, create your own solution. We take the data and turn that into actionable health insights. And how do we advance with all the advances taking place in emerging tech, in AI, and how can that be used for environmental monitoring? How do we raise the awareness of One Health? So this is a multifaceted problem we are bringing to you all. And how do we drive innovation and global collaboration? This is the key for this particular hackathon. So you are free to participate in the hackathon as a single person, but I would encourage you all to team up. And there are members, when you register on the OneAquaHealth hackathon website, you will be able to then put in your profile, and you can even reach out to other members and create a global team. Next. So as a part of the partners, is a multifaceted. We have brought in together not only the OneAquaHealth team itself, which has representation from many countries within the European Union. We also have IEEE and its various organizational units who are participating in bringing the hackathon to you. The lead participant is the IEEE Orange County Computer Society, and Pradyumna Kadge is the program manager for the OneAquaHealth Hackathon project. He's out here on the call with us, and also a variety of other organizations. I'm also happy to say that HL7 International and the International Standards Organization, ISO TC215 on health informatics, these are standards bodies. They are also helping to partner and promote the hackathon. Next. Definitely want to acknowledge the various sponsors and supporters. IEEE is providing a significant amount of financial support. The OneAquaHealth team are providing the domain knowledge and the technical support. And we are also being supported by the other organizations. I want to acknowledge HL7 Europe for that. I want to acknowledge EFMI, the European Federation for Medical Informatics, and definitely the European Union itself, which funded the OneAquaHealth project for the last 4 years, as you heard from Maria. So yes, we want to thank our partners and supporters in making this a grand success. And the biggest thank goes to all the participants. We have already 107 participants, and we just opened up the site a month ago. My expectation is we will cross maybe 500 or close to over 1,000 participants over the next many months. The actual hackathon period is September. We'll see the dates later on. So it's the second half of September. So we still have time. Next. So over the next many months, we will disseminate a series of educational sessions. We'll have campaigns on LinkedIn and other social media platforms to generate interest. And hopefully we'll have a much larger participation. What we have done in terms of give you some guide rails, we created 7 tracks. So you'll see the variety of tracks spread across 5 different categories. So depending on your interest, depending on your expertise and background, you can focus on citizen participation, whether you use the citizen science app or not, But these are some of the guardrails, or these are some of the tracks we have created. Maybe you can work with data and environmental intelligence. We are on purpose not providing you with data. What we don't want to do is influence any particular way of you want to approach this. We want to unleash your creativity. These are the tracks, guardrails. So you pick a track and say, okay, now on that track, I want to create my own solution. So you feel free to use any data sets. We may provide some information. We may provide you with some guidance, but those are just guidance tips. But it's your creativity which we are looking for to bring. So nothing is right, nothing is wrong. So come on and present your best foot forward, the way I would say. We are living in the world of AI today. Nothing is done if you're not talk about AI. But seriously, we are looking at various ways how such AI-powered assistance can be. For example, I was speaking with a team who's participating. They're saying, okay, how can we use AI for image processing as we take pictures through the citizen science app? Can we use that? I'd say absolutely, demonstrate that. How can we do awareness and education? Does it have to be only technical? No, it doesn't have to be. You can create a project which is not at all technical. Maybe a bit of it, but really the focus is on more of education and awareness. And finally, interoperability and the global digital health standards, where the standards like FHIR, standards from the ISO TC215 or IEEE standards. We want you to take a look at those, bring those standards, and create an innovative solution. Next. So these are the details, and I'll go through on our website as well, where much more detail is provided, but this is just a glimpse of the 7 tracks we have. What are the challenges you can look at, what kind of problems you want to solve, and what can you build. So we have given you some of the, as I said, the guardrails, and given you some of the guidance on what can be done. For example, somewhere a few weeks downstream, you'll have a very interesting session, educational session on gamification. That's one of our tracks. You can see track 5, gamification and community. We'll have a very fascinating discussion. Next educational session, we will be talking about our various tools which we have developed, decision support system and tools. So you can use those tools as well. So the idea is you are free to do what you want to come up with and propose to us. And use our tools. Don't use our tools. There's nothing wrong answer. Next. So these are some of the major milestones. We are now in our the second row where we're talking about the various educational session. In general, twice a month over the next few months, starting this month, this is our very first educational session. We have 8 such sessions, month of June, July, August, for the next and into September before the actual hackathon starts. The hackathon period, as you can see in the middle of the screen, is September 14th to the 30th. So our last educational session will be just before that. And as you can see, the registration is open right now. We already have 107 participants, and we will close the registration on September 1st. We have assembled a very esteemed senior seasoned veterans as judges with various domain knowledge and expertise in their respective fields, and I'll talk about them and also the judging criteria. We have arranged for prize money, both cash and in kind. We'll be awarding certificates of merit. We'll be awarding certificate of participation and a few other awards beside the prize money. All that will be announced during IEEE conference on GET Global Emerging Technology Conference, which will be held in Irvine, California, October 21st to the 25th. So on 24th, I believe, maybe on the 25th, we'll be announcing the winners at the conference itself. And then we will acknowledge and facilitate the winners at the OneAquaHealth Summit, which will be held at Barcelona in November. So those are some of the dates. The exact date may change a little bit by a day or two here and there, but the key is the winner of the hackathon will be announced in October, and they'll be acknowledged and facilitated in November, within 2 weeks of that. Next. So these are the 8 educational sessions. We are today on the very first one, June 12th. The next one is June 26th. This is where we could talk about our OneAquaHealth Hub tool. So take a look at the website, OneAquaHealth website, and I would request my colleague Alex to put the OneAquaHealth website on the chat. There are various tools which we have designed, and Maria touched upon them, and our colleagues will be getting into the details on that in the next session on June 26th. We have a very fascinating, very innovative presentation coming up at Educational Session 3, which is looking at nature as blueprint, the planetary intelligence and human innovation. So I'm myself very excited about this particular education session. And again, one of our OneAquaHealth colleague, an expert in this area, will be talking about Session 3. Session 4 is looking into a little more deeper into technical, and our colleagues out here will be talking about One Digital Health and the FAIR principle, and how does it apply to how the FAIR principle apply to the OneAquaHealth project. And so this is again a very innovative area where quite a bit of work is going on. In fact, we are applying some of the HL7 FIRE standards to the verification process as well. So we'll have an excellent presentation as a session number 4. In session 5, we step back and look at the various emerging technologies and standards which are coming into play, and how do we bring together the informatics, technology, and standards to the world of OneAquaHealth, and then how does it play through the hackathon process. So we'll talk about that. So it'll be a very fascinating session on number 5. There will be other speakers as well who will be invited to speak as a part of session 5. Session 6 is where we have fun. We have the entire spectrum, play on words ABC to Q, which is we'll talk about AI, we'll talk about blockchain, cryptography to quantum and beyond. So how are the various emerging technologies can be brought together into the hackathon, and how can that be applied? And session 7, we get deeper in on the AI. We look at the agentic AI, the citizen science approach, environmental monitoring, and so we'll have a few speakers talking about that as well. So we have speakers not only from the OneAquaHealth team, we have speakers from the industry, from IEEE, who will be coming together. And finally, session 8, we sort of step back and we look back and say, okay, what have we heard through the first session 1 through 7, and how are we going to bring all that together and building solutions for the hackathon? As you can see, the session 8 is on September 15th, and the hackathon begins on September 15th. So that's designed on purpose, so that we will end our educational training and the actual hackathon period will start right immediately on that day. Next. All right. So I touched upon that, and when I go to the website, I will again talk a little bit about the judging criteria. But we really want to look at how your submission is relevant to the impact of One Health, and how are you taking some of the guidance we have provided and unleashing your creativity into it, your technical implementation, your user experience, and how are you proposing which can be scaled. The idea of the hackathon is to take what OneAquaHealth team has done for Europe, but then how can we scale that not only across Europe, 27 countries, but across the globe itself. Next. We will go through, this goes into some of the submission criteria and how we'll be looking at it, how we'll be judging it, and the details of that are present on the website itself. Next. The key thing is, as you will see, is you have to be careful. You have to adhere to the timeline. You have to adhere to the limits, and those are all explained on the website, and I'll go through that. This is to acknowledge the prize money and the recognition we'll be providing. We'll have a first prize, we'll have 2 second prizes, and 3 third prizes. The details will be presented on the website. We'll also be giving certificate of merit from IEEE for the top 3 teams, first, second, third prize winners, and certificates of participation who would be completing the entire submission. There's a certain process. Just because you have registered, you will not get a certificate of participation. You'll have to complete your submission and be eligible to receive a certificate of participation. We are also looking at maybe incentivizing and providing some of the winners with some basic membership fees. So some of the details. So watch the space for out here, and especially if you're an IEEE member and you are a basic member, we can help you and move your nomination through a senior membership elevation based on eligibility. Next. All right. Here I acknowledge the judges, the team. These are the folks who have agreed to be a judge for the hackathon. But not only the names you see here, as you saw in Maria's picture about the entire OneAquaHealth team. We have a very large team supporting and being involved in this project for the last 8 years. So I definitely would like to acknowledge the various members listed out here, both from OneAquaHealth side and also from the IEEE side. So we have a set of 10 judges who will be helping us, 5 from OneAquaHealth and 5 from IEEE. So thank you, judges. Next. All right, so let me switch to the, if you don't mind, Alex, do you want to switch to the DevHack, the website, OneAquaHealth website? All right, so this is our hackathon website. As you can see, at the beginning of this webinar educational session, we had 107 participants. Now we have 108. Every day, every few minutes, we'll have one more participant adding on. So that's why I said we are very excited about the growth of number of participants. We have various details available. if you look at, for example, if you look at the rules tab, I just want for you to click on the rules tab in the middle. That has all the 8 sessions we talked about, educational sessions. If you scroll down, this gets to the details of what are the rules, what are the timelines, the eligibility criteria, who is eligible to participate, the judging criteria. This is very important. Take a look at that. So we are being transparent to you. We are providing with all the information which you would need to not only to do your preparation for the submission, but what we'll be using, what yardstick to judge your submission. We have given you the breakdown out here and how each criteria will be scored on a scale 1 through 10 with weighted evaluation. And then we'll be finally announcing the winners at the IGET conference. And we plan to distribute the certificates and everything within 60 days after the announcement. So by the end of the year, we'll have all the certificates distributed. Let's go back to the top again, sorry, and back to the overview section on the tab. All right, so let's slowly scroll down, folks. So this talks about the challenge. We just heard about the very first session we are going through right now. So every time we will see, the next time we come tomorrow morning, you will see the session number 2 will be here instead of session number 1. So we'll always highlight the next session, educational session on the main page. The details, as you can see, are available under the rules tab. So now here, I won't go through what's out here. You can go in detail, but what I would like to point out is scroll down. We talk about some of the strength of the project. You heard from Maria, the variety, the spread. I'm looking at the hackathon as the World Cup of OneAquaHealth. This is where teams from different parts of the world are coming together, participating, and submitting their project. Let's scroll down, please. So as I said, you have to register to start with on the DevPost, which is this site. You can form a team. You can participate individually. I will always encourage you to participate as a team. Choose a track where you want to work on and work on your solution on that particular track. Definitely understand what the problem is and what kind of impact your solution will bring. Again, as I want to repeat, there is no right or wrong. You don't have to take any of the tools we are providing you. You don't have to use anything we are saying, but those are there as suggestions, as guidance, and be inspired for that, and make sure you come up with a solution within those guardrails. That's really important for us. We will be publicizing our work, our educational session, and encouragement through the various social media platforms. There have been already posts in LinkedIn and Facebooks about the work, so watch those space. Also, we invite you to join the OneAquaHealth community, and these are a hyperlink that will take you to the OneAquaHealth website itself. There's a way to engage and have an active dialogue with our global community at large. You already see there are members there, and please help us join and grow and engage. So this is a participatory hackathon. This is not something, this is not an exam. This is not an essay writing contest. This is not a coding, but this is a combination of everything. So what we are looking at is your creativity as young scientists. As I said, young in age, young at heart, doesn't matter. But we are all students for life. It's lifelong learning, whether you are at an early stage of your career or you are in an experienced stage. As I always kid, whether you have from full of hair to no hair to gray hair, we welcome every participant here. But the key aspect of this is we want you to download some of our tools. So for example, Maria spoke about the Citizen Science app. Yeah, definitely go ahead and download that and see whether that's of value of that. How you can do something else. How you can. So you are free to do whatever you want, and we would like you to be creative. That's really the key part of this. And then whatever you submit, we will be showcasing that on our OneAquaHealth website. So we'll make sure that you have provided with all the relevant waivers so that we are able to demonstrate and showcase your submission. And if there are some guidance you all may have, just let us know on that part. All right. Let's scroll down a little bit here. There you go. These are the tracks I showed earlier on. Okay, let's come down a little bit here. I won't go the tracks again here. What to submit? This is key. Make sure you obviously the project description. You have to give us a demo video, 3 to 5 minutes of the project you have worked on. Very important. If you have got a code, you have worked on some code repository, there's a GitHub or equivalent, definitely you'll have to provide us with that information. If you have a prototype or a demo, a working prototype, mock-up, proof of concept, doesn't matter. But the key is for you to adhere to all these various submitting criteria. So, for example, if you submit and don't submit a demo video, then your submission may get rejected. So it's really important for you to submit everything what we are asking for and do it within a timeline. Super critical. There will not be any grace allowed on the timeline because we are operating in a very strict timeline, September 15th to September 30th, and then I have to give time to the judging team to judge over the next 2 weeks thereafter in October, 2 or 3 weeks before we announce the winner. So it's really important that we always stick to the deadline. As you can here see, you can increase the what to submit last paragraph before the prize. I want to bring attention to that. All results, outputs, and winning solutions from the hackathon will be showcased on the OneAquaHealth website, on the information hub. So just be aware of that. And we would definitely, Alex, make sure that we have this we have all the waivers from the submitters to use your information and your submission and make that available on our website. The prize money I've already gone through. Let's scroll down here. Yes, sir. And yes, scroll down, please. These are the various judges. Once again, I would like to thank all the judges who have participated. We are not asking for any new judges, so please do not apply. But the judging team was selected carefully. Experts from different fields have come together, and these are the 10 judges we have. And we have gone through the judging criteria below that. It's all there. So take a look at that, and that's it.
On behalf of the consortium, I would like to invite you to visit our Open Information Hub in order to exploit networking opportunities with our broad project audience. Get in touch with us via our social media channels. We're planning many more exciting events such as this informative session. So stay in touch with us, and we'll be really happy if we get the chance to meet you again and to discuss different collaborative paths. So thank you very much again, guys, for joining us today, and wish you a nice rest of the day.